Hey guys, it's Becky. I am back with another process video. Today I am going to be using just a little bit of papers. They are from the Sunshine and Happiness collection from Simple Stories. It came out last year, maybe the year before. I'm showing you this paper that I'm going to use to back my photos in. This right here is a DMC guide way back from early 2000s when I used to cross stitch a lot. I had got that because it's easier just to pick the color out of there and then go find it in your thread storage if you store by number, which I do. So I went ahead and picked out the colors I wanted from that and just pulled it out of where I have my thread stashed. Right here I'm going to use this white basil cardstock as my background. You can see I trimmed it up just a little bit. I think I trimmed it up, it's 12 by 11 I do believe. I pulled out all the coordinating colors that I want to use that go with that striped paper, and I'm just going to kind of tape it down on the back, thread it with a button, and then tape it down on the other side on the back. Now I am taping these down with double-sided tape, and that's because I'm going to put it on top of a different paper, and I didn't want the thread's going to be bulky enough, right? I didn't need the bulk of washi tape, so I'm using double-sided tape so it can just stick down to the back of another piece of paper. I am going to cut out all the other ones I do. I'm doing a color going vertical, and then I'm going to do a color going horizontal. The vertical color is going to be threaded with a button, and the horizontal color is not. And the reason I cut that all out is because it did take me quite a long time. I used a whole all the thread, so 6 strands of thread in a skein. So I used the whole thread, and then I had to thread it through a needle, which is a very thick piece of thread to thread through a needle, and then, so I can thread it into the button. And it just took me forever. Alright, so you saw right there, I went ahead and backed my photos on that striped cardstock, or that striped pattern paper. Here is the pink that I'm going to use to lay this down on. Now, I didn't really give myself enough space to have the pink on both sides of the layout, so I'm just going to have it on the right hand side. It's fine, it looks okay. I maybe should have done the border maybe half an inch all the way around, and I didn't do that, so it's fine the way it ended up coming out. When I put these photos down, some I put over, right, actually I put them over and under some of the threads down there at the bottom. Now these are photos of BJ and then 3 of my nieces, Tiffany, Sarah, and Kayla. When he stopped by Kansas on his way to Arizona, this is at my mom's house, and he stopped by there, and some of my nieces came over to see him. So I'm calling this Kinfolk News, and the reason I call it that is because Mom was telling me that after BJ had came, a lot of the nieces were irritated because she didn't call him and tell him that BJ was coming in town. And in my journaling, I'm explaining how they were acting kind of like they hadn't been a part of a big family all their lives, and they know that's not how news travels in a big family. What happens is, I have news, I tell my mom, right? My mom tells my siblings, they tell their children. So some of the nieces were mad because no one told them, and that was their mom's responsibility to tell them, not grandma's. And I was just talking about how the flow of information in a big family works, and they were acting like they didn't know. It was kind of funny. Also, not. Because some of the kids didn't get to see BJ when he was there because they didn't know. Alright, so mostly what I have on here for my embellishments is buttons. I love buttons. Like, I could use buttons on everything. I love buttons so much. In fact, like, every time, this is horrible, if someone has extra sewing notions, actually I like almost all sewing notions, but every time someone has some extra buttons or whatever in their stash, people give me their buttons. Like, when my grandmother passed away, she had a tin of buttons, so Mom took that tin of buttons and gave them to me because she knows I love buttons. I've always loved buttons. It's kind of a sickness. I don't know what it's all about. So these 2 right there, I am going to stitch down, and I'm going to put another one down at the bottom left that I'm going to stitch on as well. because I can't just glue them on. We've had this conversation before. Right here is where I'm going to go ahead and put my title down. I showed you the packaging for that. It was a Pink Fresh Studios Alpha. I really wanted to add this little circle. I had wrote all the kids' names on it that are in the photo, and it just didn't work. So I am going to use this arrow right here on the corner of that photo. So all the kids' names are going to not be on there. I maybe should write them down at the bottom or something, because I don't know that I talk about who's in the photos in my journaling. I just go on a rampage about the flow of the news. Here's where I go ahead and stitch down that yellow button right there. This is a layout that I did at the end of January. I'm still pulling out some old videos from some, older layouts that I just haven't had a chance to voice over. I have not been doing much scrapbooking lately. I just, if I give it a little time, maybe I'll get that something back. So I'm just kind of pulling the things out, right? I did stitch those 2 buttons up at the top as well. All right, so right here is where I'm going to write my journaling. It is going to be kind of lengthy. I typed it up on the computer first, and then I just hand wrote what I had written. It's easier for me to get my thoughts down on Word than it is to just write. So I will often do that. I will type it, and then I will write what I had typed. I would probably prefer to have had it typed onto the paper because my handwriting is not that great, but by the time I think of that, I'm just like, a little bit lazy for it. A lot of times it's too late to do that. I don't own a typewriter. I did buy that We Are Memory Keepers typewriter when it first came out, and I sent it right back. It was a piece of crap. So right here I'm going through some stickers that I think I might use. I did use a label, and I stamped the date of the photos on it. It's January 24th, 2018. And I picked out this little orange sticker right there. It says Awesomeness. I'm also going to pick out a white one that I'm going to put on the left-hand photo. It says Happy Day. I'm going to pull out a little flower sticker too and put it right there on that label that I had stamped the date on. And I did that because there was a big space over to the right hand side right there. I didn't stamp my date right in the middle. Of course I didn't. I am going to try and make a few more stickers work, but nothing else is going to. Here's where that Happy Day one comes in. I did pull out the enamel dots, and I am going to give those a generous scattering around the page. I'm just going to put 2 at the bottom, but I am going to tie in several in my vertical line of thread in between the threads. Here up at the top, I'm going to put 3 down. I am going to revisit that. I just leave 2, but then I decided I needed one more, so I will revisit that and put one more teeny tiny one down there. Here's where I'm going to go ahead and put them in between the lines of the thread. Now they're not evenly spaced, those threads. You can see I just fixed it on my layout that I have in my hand. The orange and the yellow, the orange is kind of leaning in toward the yellow, and I didn't fix it, so in the final photos it's going to look like that. I just now fixed it. I did think about putting some Heidi Swap color shine on here. I was going to use that mustard that's kind of like the orangey color, but with I pulled it out and then I quickly put it back because with the threads I just knew I would mess them up, so I didn't end up doing that. So I have this big white space in the middle, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. Sometimes I like that and sometimes I don't. This one I do like how it came out in the end, so there you go. Alright guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.